everybody, and welcome to another episode of Drift Study. I am Angry Earl, and I started this series as a way to watch tape, break down techniques, and hopefully learn from it in order to become a better driver. A little background on myself: I've been involved with grassroots drifting all over the Pacific Northwest as well as Northern California since 2005. I specialize in drifting rotary powered cars, and I've had numerous RX-7 FC3Ss throughout the years. I currently have an FD RX-7 as my main, as well as a slow NA RX8 practice car that we'll be talking about today. I have several goals with the series. First and foremost, to explore the improvements I can make to add to my skill sets and develop as a driver. One of the things I've always loved about drifting is that you can continually learn, progress, and level up. Not only your car, but also, more importantly, your own driving. Second, I'm relatively new to this whole YouTube commentary thing, so if you have any questions on how to make these more enjoyable and educational, please do so in the comment section below, whether it be video, lighting, audio settings, potential guests, car setup, specific tracks, and drifting techniques you'd like to see. I'm all ears. And lastly, and pretty obligatory, if you enjoyed the idea of this video series, please smash that like and subscribe button. It'll go a long way in helping grow my channel. With all that said, let's get started. Dozo. So it's been about a year since I made my first drift study vid, and if you haven't checked it out, please do so. I'll include a link to it in the end credits or in the description below. But having two out makes it officially a thing. Lots of good stuff happened. I bought a house, so I now have a dedicated studio to stuff all of my drift memorabilia and crank out these vids that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. But yeah, my team and I are pretty much taking a break and repairing our cars and bank accounts from this past season. So it's time to dissect and analyze all these vids and awesome footage that we got. So the premise of the series is to watch not only my drift footage, but also my friends and other drivers' vids, and hopefully learn from them. So if you have any cool dudes out there that have awesome footage of yourselves and want to collab, have your people call my people, we'll do lunch, or just slide into my DMs, fam. So for this episode, I chose to analyze my last drift event for the season, which was pretty recent and still fresh in my memory. I took my RX8 practice car out to Spirit Peaks Raceway in Toutle, Washington. And honestly, SPR is probably my favorite track in the Pacific Northwest, largely because of the variety of corners and the way they run the course. The continuous hot lapping that they do allow you to get ridiculous amounts of seat time, and you're pretty much only limited to how many tires you brought and how much stress your car and your body can handle. It's about 3.5 hours from my house, but definitely always worth the drive because I honestly feel like I level up my driving every time I go down. So a brief overview of my RX8. It's my designated slow NA practice car. It's designed and built to maximize seat time. It's cheap to drive, and it definitely works for me. It's a 2004 Mazda RX-8 with the stock naturally aspirated Renesas engine. It maybe makes about 169 rear wheel horsepower and has simple bolt-on mods like intake, exhaust, or tower bars, etc. I'm running an extra large radiator and a Mazmart water pump, as well as all the cooling mods. For suspension, I run Fortune Auto 500 series coilovers with 9K front and 5K rear spring rates. I like them a lot, and I've actually been drifting on Fortune Auto coilovers for almost 7 years now, so highly recommend them. For angle, I run RX8 Drift Knuckles. You can find him on Instagram, does awesome work. Welds are very nice, and I paired those up with the OEM tie rods. I also use Godspeed arms, but I know people have had clearance and rubbing issues with these depending on tire and wheel combos. I think the most important part of my setup is actually the custom gearing. I run a welded diff paired with a 5.8 ring and pinion from a road racer down in Australia. I also run a 5.1 ring and pinion for my FD RX-7 from the same guy, and I totally love both. Also, one last thing to note is that I street drive both my cars to the track and back these past 17 years, so I've always strived for a simple and reliable setup. I know rotaries aren't for everybody, but they are for me. So one of the runs I'd like to dissect and study today is a tandem run with one of my level up teammates, Jonathan Kunamai. He has an SR20 powered Nissan Skyline R32 sedan and makes around 400 rear wheel horsepower, and his favorite color is black. He's super funny and a handsome dude just like me, and you can check out his Instagram at jkunamai. His car's pretty quick, his driving's consistent, and his lines are predictable. So needless to say, I'm pretty comfortable tandeming and getting all up behind him from the get-go. I go into drift events with the intention of focusing on working on one or at most two skills specifically for that day. And I've found that having a clear goal in mind and having a specific objective for the day helps me stay focused at the task at hand, and also helps me in my decision-making processes throughout the day. I decided that that day's focus was tandeming, and more specifically getting more and more comfortable getting closer and working on my proximity. My favorite part about Spirit Peaks Raceway is the entry. I love Japanese style driving. You go bomb down the straight full throttle as fast as possible, and you feint into it and chucking as hard as you can. That's my favorite kind of driving, and something that I've been really trying to work on. So here we go. One of the things I've learned from actually a set of sim drifting is that the setup before the entry is actually pretty crucial in getting your lines down and being successful in your following. Also starting as close as you can to the lead car and not letting yourself get gapped is pretty important, and I found pretty safe as well as a starting point. So as you can see, this first small sweeper leading up to the front straight of SPR, I tried to stay as close to Jonathan as I can, and I leave him just enough room to transition back, just because as soon as he catches traction, you can see him. You can definitely see the power difference between our cars. Again, he's making about 400 wheel and I'm making less than half that. So, but yeah, here we go. So that's actually one of the things I've been trying to work on as well. I'm not the only one that does this, and it's not the worst habit to break, but clutch kicking out of the corner and then e-braking back in is pretty mid. It's not the worst entry you can do, but it's definitely not the most exciting. But what I really want to focus on is doing a clutchless full throttle feint out of the corner and then clutch kicking hard back in. I actually was doing this last year in my FD RX7 at SPR, and I'll put a video on it right here. that's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, again, you don't want to be trying too crazy stuff, especially when you're tandeming. I've found that consistency and predictability is key as far as tandeming goes. So something to work on my end. So one of the SPR's most unique features is its back sweeper. I like to keep the tire spinning as I upshift from second to third. But again, the power discrepancy between our cars makes me take a much shallower angle than Jonathan's. And you can see right here that he's going to start pulling away from me. It's all good though, because even though I'm running a much shallower line, I'm going to try and intercept him when we switch back. So making do with what I got, but pulled it off somewhat. A little bit of track debris, traffic. So this is one of the things I'm actually most stoked on that I did throughout the day, is that I continuously got closer and closer to Jonathan, and it didn't leave him too much room to get away from me. I'm going to leave him just enough room as we're tandeming through this small sweeper right before the front straight to switch back, and I'm going to be right on his butt. That's pretty much one of the reasons why I chose this clip in the first place, is because you can tell like we were getting into our groove and we were reading each other's lines pretty well, and I was having a lot of confidence in his driving to follow and get as close to him as possible. As you can hear during when we were bombing down the straight, I'm not letting off the throttle at all, and I'm just right on his butt as we're mobbing down the straight. We were booking. That second to third upshift was pretty crispy as well too. So pretty stoked on that run. Little bit of tweaks on my end to work on next time, but yeah, pretty confident that I was pushing the car as hard as I can make it go, and not letting Jonathan gap me on those crucial parts. But yeah, very, very fun tandeming with him, and we were getting hyped up throughout the day. So this is actually one of the other clips I wanted to analyze today. It's actually one of the runs that I was leading and Jonathan was following behind me. My wheel work I really liked on the very short, tight straight right before the back sweeper. myself load up. So that's something that I've been really wanting to work on, is to be more aggressive and snappier in my transitions. And you can definitely see me load up the suspension and even clutch kick even more right before the car transitions to try and make it that much snappier. But RX8s, man, they're hard cars to drift, and even though they're low power, once you do get it, it's very, very rewarding. So I'm going to pretty much fast forward past the back sweeper, just because it's not really that interesting to me. You'll see 240SX led us through because he saw us hauling and mobbing behind him. I can definitely appreciate good track etiquette. Letting faster drivers pass you when it's safe to do so is pretty cool, and it goes to show you that people are becoming more and more aware of track etiquette and being aware of their surroundings and who's behind them. So yeah, very cool of this guy. Give him a little wave. Fall back to the same habit of clutch kicking out and e-braking in. I don't know, man. It's habit. It's safe, it's consistent, and there's really less chance of spinouts from my experience. But yeah, something I definitely want to work on in the future. I just want to do as fast as possible clutchless feint in and aggressive clutch kick into the corner to maximize angle. That's really the fastest way to drive. But again, compared to this, when you're leading, you don't want to be trying too crazy of stuff, especially if there's people behind you. But yeah, something to work on for next time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty stoked on that lead run. Jonathan did an awesome job of chasing after me and staying on my butt. But yeah, stoked. So there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed the second episode of Drift Study. Again, if you have any questions or comments and suggestions on how to make my driving in this series better, please do so in the comment section below. I'll try and crank out more of these on the regular and be more consistent with them. But yeah, till next time. See you later, Drift Cowboys.